You're listening to the Habs Banter podcast. This podcast is brought to you by all Habs and features co-hosts Corey Desormeaux and Marc Lescoutre.
Welcome, everyone. It's episode 2 of Habs Banter, presented by allhabs.net. They haven't kicked us off the internet yet, so this is great news.
We made it.
We made it. I
This
don't
is
know if
the
we're
big
internet
times.
famous yet or we're viral yet, but we're still here.
Definitely
That's what
not.
counts. All right.
If people outside of our family and friends actually watch this podcast, I think it's a win.
Yeah, there's at least 3 people that do, so that's good. That's a good
Great.
start. All right, let's get started with the pregame warm-up.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, we did What's That Word? And I think it was a lot of fun, so we're going to do it again.
Yeah, that and because we can't think of anything else to do.
That's what I was trying to stay away from, being honest about our lack of creativity. But I mean, yeah, we can just
Fine.
you
I'm
just tell the
I'm just an
people-
open book. And
You're
I'm
an open
honest,
book.
I'm an honest man. That's
I
all.
respect that.
Sorry.
Whatever. Okay.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Okay, you have to define confident turtle.
Confident turtle. Man, that is tough.
I don't know.
Maybe
When
it's
you-
not as tough as I think it is.
Yeah, when I say it, you'll probably be like, "Oh, I should have thought
Probably. I
of
hate
that,"
it when
but
that
it's fine.
happens. All right, confident turtle. I think I'm just gonna spitball here.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know. You know how turtles are the little head pokes in and out or whatever, and maybe
Yeah.
when they're not so confident, their head's in.
Yeah.
And when they are, their head's out.
Yeah.
So confident turtle would probably be somebody who's not really confident usually, but then all of a sudden they're just and then they have all the confidence in the world. I'm not getting this one right.
No,
We're
you know
0 for
what?
2.
I almost want to give you half marks for that.
Because I feel someone's confident, someone's doesn't really show their confidence, they're just hiding in their shell, and then boom, they're like, oh, I got this, I'm popping out.
Okay, I feel like you're somewhat close, so I think you maybe get half points for this, but it's when one sticks their neck out, so that's the part you got right,
Okay.
so far as to avoid a double chin. So that's where you're wrong. You know what I mean? It's not because they're confident, it's just because they don't want their rolls.
Maybe they're taking a selfie and they need to extend.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Good. You do a great confident turtle there.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, hit me.
So I'm over. I'm not okay with half points. It's a cop out. So I'm 0 for 2.
All right.
Now let's see if
I'd
you'll
take
be-
all the half points in the world.
All
but
right,
that's fine.
whatever. I'm not giving you half points. Here's yours. What are presidential flashcards?
Dude. At least I give you some that are somewhat easy.
Man, this is
You know what I mean?
No,
At least I
I
give
don't
you
think
some
so,
that are
man.
somewhat I can't go literal on this one.
no. That's
If you
below,
go,
this is malarkey. I actually almost didn't go with this one because I thought it was too easy. So
Presidential flashcards.
yeah, it'll make sense once I say it. Like you said.
Oh man. This is such a dumb game. This is such a stupid.
You know what? It was a lot of fun before we were recording.
Yeah, it's we thought it was gonna be funny, but it really just makes us look so stupid.
Yeah, we're dumb.
We just look like the dumbest
Yeah.
people.
So do you
I
have
don't
any-
know,
do you
man.
even have a
Presidential
guess?
flashcards are probably when the president is rolling in his car, and he's rolling down the street, and he's got his what do you call it when he's getting escorted?
This is security detail.
Yeah, sure. You know what I mean. There's a formal word for it. But anyway, he's driving, and he's sitting there with the first lady, and they're just chatting or whatever, and they're chatting, and then the first lady's and he looks, and he turns out the window, and this dude's in a trench, and he just opens it up. You know what I mean? Just for the prezi, and that's what a presidential flashcard is.
All right, it's not that. It is.
How did I know?
It is cash money. It is dollar bills. It's moolah. That's all it is. It's dollar bills.
Okay.
For example, and used in a sentence, That kid just asked me to help him with some presidential flashcards.
Okay, because all the presidents are on the Bills. You mean?
Yeah, there you go.
Makes
Moving
sense.
on.
Moving on. All right, so let's this biweekly podcast thing is killing me. It's like there's so much stuff that happens, so it's like I feel like when I'm like jotting stuff down, it's so hard to remember what happened 2 weeks ago. Like I can't even remember what socks I put on yesterday. So like, let's go with some positives over the last couple weeks. Do you have any?
Yeah, for sure. Despite the fact that our game against Toronto was our first win in a little while, there were some good stuff, some good things happening.
Okay.
PK's been playing well. He's got another goal.
He's still getting a lot of flack from people.
He is, but
they like
what's
don't think he's
crazy
doing
is
enough. It's wild.
what's crazy is that despite his lack of goals this year, he's playing unreal. He's
Yep.
basically putting the team on his back.
Yep.
Like
He's this week. This week it was more apparent. I thought that he was trying to do everything in his power to get this team out of the slump. Like he more than anyone looked like he was going the extra mile to sort of like push the limits and
absolutely,
really do everything he can.
absolutely, he's just leading by example out there. But,
Yeah. Another guy that I thought really turned it around the last couple of weeks, and I know I talked about it 2 weeks ago on the pod a little bit too, but is Emelin.
yeah,
I thought he's been playing awesome, man. Like
he's been playing well.
he's still laying some hits that I don't think are like taking him out of his position as much. He actually has a higher Corsi for percentage than Subban, which is pretty wild. Like he doesn't face the competition that Subban faces, but still, for him to have a higher Corsi for percentage, when last year he was getting pumped in the Corsi column, like I think he was under 50% all season long. Now he's sitting at like I want to say 50, 54 or something at 5.5. I think he's moving the puck much better. He's a little more patient in their zone, in our zone, with the puck. So I think that was another positive.
When he panics, his stick is like a cinder block, and the puck's just bouncing off there, not left, right, and center.
Yeah.
When he plays a bit more patiently, that's a lot more, helps his game a lot.
Yeah, I think another one too is like the Habs are still getting the scoring chances that they need to win games. They're just not winning them, which I guess is a negative. But
yeah, it kind of brings us to our negative points, which is certainly a longer list.
I have another positive.
Okay, one more positive
before we go too quickly.
Okay,
one more positive is that Therrien on Friday, I think, in his interview, actually talked about puck possession. Everybody always harps on Therrien about how he's not like into the advanced stats. He doesn't pay attention to anything, and like although he might not be making decisions based on those numbers, sometimes he's at least noticing it. Like he said, the team is fourth in puck possession, which is their Corsi for percentage in the league, which is good. And he said, we have to have the puck to win games. But then he also noted that Galchenyuk needs to be better in that regard, but he's much better at center than he is at left wing.
Yeah. Well, and when Galchenyuk plays with Desharnais, his Corsi, his possession numbers just
plummet. Yeah.
So, I mean, whose fault is that?
Hit me
friend of the show, Michel Therrien.
Hit me with some negatives.
All right. Bolia has had a rough couple of weeks. Like he looks like it's like they've switched spots as far as how they handle the puck.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like it's been bad. Like Bolia created a couple of turnovers against the Bruins. One of them can't remember if it led to a goal or just a penalty, but he was fighting the puck out there.
Yeah.
And so is Markov. Markov actually had a sick. This is almost a positive, except the pass went to Max Talbot. But Markov had a sick tape-to-tape pass to Max Talbot to set him up for a Gino in the Bruins game. And
I think
he was it was rough out there.
I'll get to Markov in a minute, but I think with Beaulieu, I think he's still making mistakes. He's still making mistakes, and I think he made mistakes with Subban, and I think that's why they pulled him off of playing beside him, because Subban shouldn't have to worry about the guy he's playing with making mistakes. But the reality is that's Markov right now. Markov's making a ton of mistakes. However, I do think Beaulieu and Barberio are making a good pair, despite some of the mistakes that they're making.
That's true.
And I actually think it's a positive thing for Therrien to keep them together. Although he's not playing them a ton, I think it's good to keep them together. Let them make mistakes, but let them grow together. The more they grow together, the more comfortable they get. I mean, right now together at 5 versus 5, they have a 67% Corsi for percentage. I know I keep like hammering the Corsi train, but it is a measure that we can use to sort of like gauge how people are doing. You know what I mean? And I think Beaulieu and Barberio are a pair that can succeed. They both move the puck really well. They both have the speed to get back when one pinches. We saw Barberio do it countless times over his 10 games with the club.
Yeah.
And same with Beaulieu. So I think keeping them together, let them work through those mistakes together with like limited minutes is a fine thing from the coach. The problem is that he's a little handcuffed right now because Markov isn't pulling his weight.
Well, that's the issue. And Markov, when he got pushed down to the second pairing, he was playing a little better. He wasn't playing as many minutes because it's just he's like Bergevin said in the press conference the other day. Like Markov he's an older guy. Like he doesn't have the legs that he used to. So you can cope with that, but you can't play him 27, 28 minutes a game.
Yeah,
he is breaking down, and he's not going to make it all the way to the end of the season. And with Markov on the second pairing, I mean, if Beaulieu is playing poorly on the top pairing, then you kind of lose that benefit from it. But like, we got to find someone to play with Subban up on that top pairing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think the team. I don't think Therrien trusts Barberio enough to put him there yet.
Yeah,
but
I don't know that he's ready for that, anyways.
He did for a little bit last week, and they looked pretty good together. They look pretty good together. But I mean, I think it's difficult to find a guy, and we can get into this a little later when we get to the Tinordi trade. But it's difficult to find some. Like I almost think like do you try like a pattern with Subban? Do you try like I don't know, like I don't know what to think. But it's hard to find somebody who's going to be able to be defensively responsible enough to let Subban, like Subban's the type of player where he needs to trust who he's playing with.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Therrien needs to trust who he's playing with Subban to be able to throw them out there. And unfortunately, Markov's just not the guy. Like, he's getting killed out there, man. Like, the Bruins game was a perfect example. Like, that giveaway aside, he got crushed.
Oh, it was a bad game.
The whole game, he was just
poor decision
making, destroyed.
He iced the puck when he wasn't being pressured when we were on the power play. He took a stupid penalty and just was, on top of all that, just a lot of bad passes, bad positioning all night long.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to actually. It's growing up watching Markov. It's like hard to see him like this now. You know what I mean?
And he made a lot of progress when he came back from his major injury. Like, when he first came back, he looked like a baby giraffe out there. Like, he was struggling. But he, like, you know what? Since then, he has come a long way. And when he signed his extension, like, I would say he definitely earned it.
Right.
But now he's getting to that age in the NHL where you can't play 27 minutes a game. You just can't.
Right.
You just start to break down. It's science. I don't know.
It's science, really.
It's science.
Yeah, if anybody knows science, it's you.
Exactly.
So Galchenyuk no longer at center is another negative that I saw. I think that first game against Chicago, he came out there, and this was before Andrighetto and Carr were sent down, and which was another negative, I think, that should be on the list. But he, Eller, and Andrighetto were the most dangerous line that night. The most dangerous line. I think it was at the end of the second period. I tweeted out, I was like, did Galchenyuk just get double shifted? And I was like, the skies are finally opening. Like, Galchenyuk's getting the ice time he deserves. So I was like, I think he just got double shifted with Desharnais' line. Sure enough, they come out for the third period, and Galchenyuk's on Desharnais' wing. And I think it was with Weiss. And then now that's the line. And for 3 games up until last night, they got crushed.
Yeah.
Like, they just were destroyed for 3 games straight. The game against the Bruins, they were the only forward line. They had under a 45% Corsi for at 5 versus 5. Everybody else was over 55. Yeah. And they finished the game with the most ice time. So those are things that Therrien is doing that just like I just don't understand.
Yeah.
So I think Galchenyuk moving away from center after showing some good progress from the start of the year at center. Not really having, I mean, he had Eller as a stable line mate, but it was just a revolving door on that right wing.
Yeah.
But I thought they looked great with Andrighetto. I thought they looked great with Carr. And now all of a sudden, Galchenyuk's playing on the wing with Desharnais, and there's just no one on that line to play defense, really. I mean, like Galchenyuk's all right in his own end. Weiss has no clue what he's doing back there, and Desharnais just loses every single puck battle he's involved in, like every single one. If you actually pay attention to that every game, he loses every single puck battle he's got in the corner. And that's what you need from your centerman. Like if you watch Lars Eller, on the other hand, who's now crushing it playing third line center, which we talked about on the last podcast, he wins almost every battle he's got.
Yeah, and that's the one positive of Desharnais playing with Galchenyuk is that our third line now is unreal.
Well, I think the other positive too is Galchenyuk's now getting more ice time, but it just sucks because they're getting crushed every time they're out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
the ultimate troll too. I think it was the night we played the Bruins. It was like we're getting crushed by the Bruins, and then Cassian goes out and gets a Gino and an apple, and
he's
been
like, playing well for Edmonton. Like it's not just the stats.
I mean, I haven't watched him, so I don't know, but it was just funny.
He's just creating a ton of chances. And
it was just funny because it's like that would happen. Right?
Like, oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. So I think another negative is Carr and Andrighetto being sent down for De La Rose. It's unfortunate that he's not. Like De La Rose only played. What has he only been in 2 games?
One or two games? Yeah, I think he's got the flu, or that's they're saying, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think his first missed game was because of the flu. Like I'm pretty sure that was just a healthy scratch. And
I just don't get it. It's like why do you call these kids up if you're just gonna?
You might as well, if you're gonna call up somebody to sit on the bench or to sit in the press box, why not call up John Scott? Like like let the kid. Like if you're, it's gonna be, I don't know. It's too soon to say, but like some of these prospects is gonna be another Tinordi situation where they're never playing and they never get a chance to prove their worth at the NHL level. So
no, I know. Okay, so let's get into the upcoming schedule.
Yeah.
So basically, Monday and Tuesday night, they've got a home and home against Columbus.
Yeah.
Who's at the bottom of the league. It's an opportunity for them to build on their win against Toronto Saturday night. If they win these 2 games, they could be back in a wild card spot, I believe.
Yeah.
Right now, they're on the outside of the playoffs looking in, which is wild when you think of
crazy.
It. Just wild. So, what do you think about those 2 upcoming games?
I mean, we need the wins, and we need to start building some positive momentum. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, even if we take the Leafs game and then the 2 Columbus games, we sweep all 3. All our problems are far from fixed. You know what I mean? Like we realistically had as a team 1 good period against the Leafs and then kind of sat back, and that could work against a team like Columbus too. But we need the wins, but they're not like, even if we come out of there with 4 points, I'm not going to be necessarily convinced that.
So what you're trying to say is you're not confident, even if we beat Columbus twice, that the Habs are back in the saddle.
Yeah, like we need to start. Right. We need to string a few games together against quality opposition.
I think the All-Star break is going to be really good for the team.
I think so too.
I think they need to just get away from hockey for a little bit. I actually think Subban go to the All-Star game is regardless of me being happy that he's going to be there. And he's literally the only reason I'm going to watch the All-Star festivities if I watch any of it. But he's the perfect guy to go there because he's always locked in. Like he's always ready to play. Yeah. And the other guys get a bit of R&R and just get to chill out for a bit. And hopefully they come back and they just feel like a little bit more confident. They're just you know what I mean? They just feel like there's going to be a fresh start. That's really the only positive thing I can see coming out of next week until the next podcast. Sure. Is what I really want to see is regardless of what happens against Columbus, whether we lose those 2 games or win those 2 games, I think it's once the All-Star break is done, we'll really see if the team is prepared to get out of the slump or not.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the last few weeks before the trade deadline. And if we're still out of the playoffs, I hope Bergevin doesn't try to make an acquisition just to make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like if
Right.
But if we are out, then we have potentially an opportunity to get some assets.
Do you think it's like full tank job at that point?
Not tank job. No, not at all. I just think it's like we don't have a ton of UFAs, but the ones we do could have some value, even if it's just a few picks here or there.
Right.
Like Gilbert or even Dale Weiss. I like Weiss, but when you see some of the, like, depending on how many buyers and sellers there are, and there's probably not going to be that many sellers given the way the league is shaping up, he could fetch a pretty good return based on previous years, depending on what the market is. Like, I don't know, but if the market's like it was last year when Winnick netted a couple decent picks for the Leafs,
right?
Like, I don't see why Weiss can't do the same. And then, who knows, come back and sign with us in the summer.
Yeah, I honestly don't see Bergevin selling. If we're close to making the playoffs, we're going to make a push for the playoffs, because if Carey Price does end up coming back, they're going to want to make a push. And Dale Weiss, quite frankly, is a guy that you want come playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this guy's getting T-bombs in the middle of this.
This is just out of control.
It's just so unprofessional, this guy, man.
Unprofessional.
Like, anyway. All that to say, I think, Weiss is a guy that they're going to want in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Okay. Let's start talking about the Tinordi trade.
All right. Oh, boy. This was crazy. This was just crazy. Like,
Tell me why. Tell me why, Mark.
The failure of this franchise, the failure of Jared Tinordi with this franchise isn't just that we traded him for a goon who has no value in hockey professionally and another depth defenseman, of which we have many, who are both now in the AHL. This goes back to like day one, developing Tinordi, giving Tinordi a chance or not giving Tinordi a chance to get minutes at the NHL level. Like, the guy played 3 games in the NHL this year for the Habs, and he was on our roster for the entirety of the season, except for his little conditioning stint in the A. He's played fewer games this year than John Scott.
Yes.
John
Scott's been in, I think, 11 games.
Which is wild. Like, Tinordi was a number 1 first-round draft pick.
That we traded up.
We traded up with Arizona.
Yep.
So
they just got their first-round pick back.
Yep. They're laughing. And, like, I just don't get it. And it's not like...
Okay, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that a guy... And I hate these... Like, I hate when people are saying now that, oh, this is like a nothing trade. It doesn't matter. Like we don't know what Jared Tinordi's not an NHL defenseman at this point, so, like, who knows? But wouldn't you rather have Jared Tinordi rot in your press box all season long? Like, not for his sake, than have John Scott rot in the AHL and Bartley go down in the AHL and just have, like, so you can have the flexibility of calling a guy up and down without the risks of waivers? It makes no sense to me that people are justifying this trade. No sense whatsoever, man. Jared Tinordi, if you're going to trade him, you trade him at the start of the year, and if he's going to sit in the press box, you play him for half the year to see what you actually have. Nobody knows what Jared Tinordi is. You traded him at the absolutely worst time you could have traded him. Nobody knows what Jared Tinordi is because we've never seen him play in the NHL consistently.
No.
We've never seen him play. Put him in for 20 games. I don't care. 20 games, evaluate what you have, then deal him. And if you can't get anything for him, let him rot in the press box for the whole season. I don't care, and reevaluate in this summer. I'd rather have him as a depth defenseman than Gilbert. I'd rather have his as a depth defenseman than Bartley. That's the bottom line. And I haven't even seen this Bartley guy play. It just doesn't matter, because when you watch Markov play and you look at how terrible, like he could potentially be on the decline. Like Markov could never recover from this, man, as far as I'm concerned. Like, and
Absolutely.
people need to, and people and the organization need to face that music, and they're not. And that's proven by the fact that they traded Jared Tinordi. Not that a Tinordi's ever going to be a Markov, but I'm just saying you don't trade a 23-year-old defenseman that you spent a first round pick on, that you traded up
Yeah.
for a guy that's never going to play in the NHL.
Here's the thing. So Tinordi, we don't know what Tinordi is in the NHL. We do know what John Scott is, and we do know that Victor Bartley is a 27-year-old defenseman, journeyman who has never played more than 50 games in a season either. Like,
Right.
we're trading someone with potential to be maybe not a top pairing defenseman, but a top 6 defenseman for our team.
Yeah. And
for definitely not NHL hockey players.
Yeah, and regardless of what Bartley is, if Bartley ends up, I don't know, like let's say he turns out to be like a Dale Weiss, where like we can plug him in every game. Like I'd still rather have Jared Tinordi.
Yep.
It doesn't, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing about this trade that makes any sense to me. And then when he was asked at his presser this week, Bergevin was asked, he said there was a reason or something, or like, there was a reason I had to do it, and you wouldn't understand why.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
That's crazy. Like, all the conspiracy theorists around the All-Star Game situation, I think, jumped out of their seats with that comment. They're like, something is crazy going on. So I don't know. Maybe Tinordi asked for a trade. Wouldn't blame him. Maybe there's some personal issue or there's something going on, but it doesn't all add up. So I don't know. That one was crazy. Yeah. That one really ticked me and a lot of other Habs fans off. And he had his first game for the Coyotes on Saturday and I think he played 15 minutes.
Wow.
And played okay by all accounts. So
it's a tough LA team too.
Yeah,
right?
so like I'm sure he's stoked.
Yeah, and they're probably evaluating what they have.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're doing because they don't know what Jared Tinordi is yet.
Yeah.
They don't know what he is yet. And Pattern's still not getting ice time.
Yeah.
It's so infuriating, man. Like, it's just,
not to take anything away from Barberio because he has played well since getting called up.
Played great.
But Tinordi and Pattern were already on the club when Barberio got called up. Like, the team kind of put themselves in this position by, like, we have like all this defensive depth and all that.
But listen, this is a business. Like, sit down with Markov, tell him he needs to take a couple games off and get somebody in the friggin' game.
Yeah.
It's that simple as far as I'm concerned.
Like, or even, like, I don't even know, someone mentioned this the other day as an idea, dress 7 defensemen.
Why not?
Like, that
rotate Markov.
Exactly.
Sit him down a couple shifts.
Sit him down, like, give him a break on the special teams, like, give him a break on penalty killing, and just, like, extend his life a little bit, you know? Extend.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And that comment in the presser really, really bothered me. Like, I don't know whether he was trying to, like, protect Tinordi, as in, like, I had to make this trade and I did what I could, or whether he was trying to, I don't know. I hope it's not one of those conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Because I'd hate to be a part of that, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that he just, like, I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that Jared Tinordi is a good kid, and he was like, like, maybe I just want to give him an opportunity somewhere because Michel Therrien doesn't like Tinordi, and he's never gonna, you know what I mean? He had no value because they let his value just plummet. Yeah. But I can't see any team not being able to up that deal.
Yeah,
exactly. How could nobody not beat that deal? And the whole situation's weird. Like, why do you have to wait for Nashville to trade Bartley to Arizona when you could have just traded Tinordi for Bartley? Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's just crazy.
Anyway, let's move on to the trade rumors.
Yep.
And let's talk about Drouin. I think the only update there is that it's still pretty clear amongst most of the media that the Habs are still involved in Drouin talks.
Yep.
There's a lot of chatter about his.
I literally don't even know how to turn this function off, so
whatever,
we're
it's
just
fine.
Stuck with it.
there's a lot of I lost my train of thought, but there's now basically what they're saying is his value may have plummeted
Yep.
just because of the fact that he's now refused to play.
Yeah, which is wild.
Stevie Y has come out and say like, look, like we're not going to trade him for less value than we think
Yep.
he's worth. You know what I mean? He spoke the same day as Marc Bergevin. He spoke to the media. He spoke at Great Lakes. Actually, it was kind of like an interesting press conference. But I like that Stevie Y like held his ground. I like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's not going to back down to a young player. So my question to you is like whether you think after this news, Bergevin is still actively pursuing Drouin, and like now that he speaks to the whole character thing.
Yeah, I think he's still looking into it. I think the because of all this, I think the ask in the trade has to drop a lot for teams to go after him. Apparently, I can't remember. I think it was maybe Friedman or someone talking about how Anaheim is pretty much out of the runnings now, and St. Louis as well, and a couple other teams. They're just, I don't know if it's because of this whole refusing to play thing or they're just decided no thank you.
Right.
But it seems like the list of teams in on Drouin is getting shorter.
Yep.
Which is good for the buyer, whoever ends up getting him, if someone gets him.
Right.
I still think for sure, like, if the Habs can get him for a reasonable price, I think he's young enough that maybe, I mean, there's obviously this character concern, but I'd like to think, I guess this is more thinking optimistically, glass half full, but like I'd like to think if the Habs get,
you're such a positive guy, Mark.
I'm just a positive guy.
Like you're just so.
I just think like he's young enough that he has a lot of learning to do,
yeah,
and a lot of growing up to do, and if he goes somewhere with a fresh start.
But like everybody in the media is talking about how this kid's like he's such a good kid. He's got like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got his head on straight, and I'm just like, is this really adding up, or are people just trying to justify the trade ahead of it happening? Do you know what I mean?
It could be, and I think part of it is the agent, because Alan Walsh has a reputation, but at the same time, Drouin doesn't have to have Alan Walsh as his agent. Like he knows what he's signing up for when he has Alan Walsh.
Right.
So if you're the type of guy that wants to be low key and do things kind of quietly, you're not going to hire Alan Walsh to be your agent.
Right.
So.
Okay, so tell me a guy that the Habs should be trading or should try and trade for come deadline time.
This is a tough one because of where we are right now. Obviously, top six winger is the go-to. I know there's been Michel Bodker rumors flying around, and maybe this is kind of going back to the conspiracy theories, but maybe getting shafted in the Tinordi trade can lead to us getting a good deal in a Bodker trade. I don't see it, but I'm sure there's people out there saying.
I mean, Bodker's a UFA, so he's like, to me, he's a guy that I would potentially target if I was Marc Bergevin.
Yep.
I don't know what the value of Michel Bodker is at this point.
Me neither.
I think he signed a 1-year deal. He was an RFA last year.
Yeah,
I think so.
And I think if I'm Arizona, like it's not like he's old. Like he's still in his 20s, like his mid-20s. I think
he's
so.
like
if I'm Arizona, he's not a guy that I'm necessarily trying to move,
right?
Because you still need some veteran players, and he's a good hockey player. He can play both sides. Yeah, so I don't think there's an urgency from Arizona to trade him. So I think it would take probably a bit more to get him at the deadline too.
So another UFA is Kyle Okposo. Do you think the Islanders would give him up?
I think there might be some talk of that just because of cap issues, right? Because they don't have a ton of money.
Right.
They have to re-sign.
It's like it's going to be a balancing act for them. It's like, do we keep Kyle Okposo? For a playoff run, or do we deal him now when we can get something for him?
Exactly.
And to me, they keep him for a playoff run.
Yeah, they probably keep him because I look at that as sort of like instead of them
try and deal with
a guy at the deadline, they have a guy already that they
try and deal with that problem when it's an actual problem, which is at the end of the season.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So to me, I don't really
not a guy I would hate the Habs to pick up, but
and like. You know what's frustrating for me is like I don't know now that Galchenyuk's playing the wing. I don't know how actively they're gonna try and find a winger for
Yeah,
Galchenyuk, which is like frustrating. Like that's where a lot of my like I can see a guy like Mikhail Bodker.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like imagine Mikhail Bodker playing on the wing with
Oh
Galchenyuk or a guy
man,
like Kyle Poso or a guy like Nail Yakupov. I know we're talking about like names that are like these are all like established players and young players in the NHL. So it's kind of wishful thinking to think that the Habs land a guy like that because I don't think they necessarily have the pieces to do it. And
yeah. I think you're
I
right.
don't think they have the pieces that they're willing to give up to do it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like to get a guy like that, you're to any of those guys, you're probably looking at a Beaulieu to start
yeah.
and I don't see if they trade Beaulieu, that's one of the biggest mistakes
Absolutely.
Marc Bergevin can make, especially with oh my god, man, especially with especially with yeah, I lost my train of thought again, but especially
That's
like,
on me.
you got it, yeah, okay, Marc Bergevin, that's on me. Anyway, that's that. Okay, let's get going on the next topic here. You trying to close it?
I'm trying to trying to get this.
You right click and quit, bud. No?
No, I tried that 3 times so far.
Oh.
Okay. So far, not so much.
Okay, so let's talk about Therrien, whether he's on the hot seat, whether he should have
Yeah.
been fired. What do you think of like Bergevin coming out and saying like he's here to stay?
So I have a couple thoughts on that. Bergevin, obviously, he had his press conference, like you said, and said he has utmost confidence in Therrien and his staff, and they
Yep.
will be here for the rest of the year, no matter what.
Yep.
No matter what, we can lose I don't know how many games we have left in the season. We can go over, and he's there for the long haul.
Right.
Off season, another question, but I don't know. Like I can appreciate. I like that Bergevin came out and said like I'm the one who gives Therrien his players. I'm the one who the buck stops here. It's my fault that we're not playing well.
Right.
But Therrien he just doesn't put players in the position to succeed, and that's I guess on Bergevin in the sense that he's backing Therrien, but he should be on the hot seat. I think even if he is safe from firing until the end of the season, I think in the off season it's going to be a different story.
I think he very well could be on the hot seat. I think Michel Therrien, frustrates me more than anyone in the Habs organization at this point. He
Yep.
really does. And there's certain things about him that really, really frustrate me. And like putting Galchenyuk on the wing is an example. Playing Desharnais the most out of any forward
Yeah,
on the Habs roster is like the most disgusting thing I could think of right now.
yeah,
And like, but what I will say is that Terrier has done a lot of good things for this team.
yep,
I read a piece by Ryan Lambert on Yahoo Sports, who pointed out a bunch of different things. And what he was getting at was that the Habs slump actually comes down to percentages. So let me read you a couple things, okay?
okay,
The first 25 games, so October 1st to November 30th. Okay, there's 25 games. Their Corsi for percentage was fourth in the league, okay, at 53.5%. Since December 1st to now, they're still sitting at fourth. Okay, 53.2%. High quality scoring chances. They were sitting at 14th in the first 25 games. Since those first 25 games, the span from December 1st to now, they're sitting at 11th.
wow,
This was all heading into before the Leafs games, okay?
yep,
Shots for percentage, they were 6th. Over the slump, they're 5th. Goals for percentage, they were 2nd at the start of the year. They're now in 30th. Their shooting percentage dropped from 7th to 30th. Their save percentage dropped from 6th to 30th. So that's where you know what I mean? Like, can you blame Therrien for getting the team the high quality scoring chances that they need to win games?
yep,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
The
it's wild.
shooting, like the shots for that they need to win games. The Corsi, the puck possession that
Yeah.
they need to win games, but they just can't score.
Yeah, it's
So like, do you know what I mean? Like everybody's calling for Terrier's head, me included at times throughout this year. But at this point, I'm sitting after reading that, and I'm like, man, there are certain things about Terry that bother me. Like, yeah, does he play Desharnais too much in the game? Absolutely. Does he put Galchenyuk in the wrong situation to succeed? Absolutely. But when you're Marc Bergevin and you're looking at those numbers,
Yeah.
and you're thinking, like, man, can I really justify firing my BFF over? Do you know what I mean? Can
Plus,
I really justify?
and there's a second aspect to this too. Like on top of just getting rid of Therrien,
Yeah.
kind of a frustrating thing is who's available as a French Canadian coach. Like that handcuffs the Habs so much.
Even outside of that, who are they getting?
Yeah, I think during like right now they're getting nothing. In the summer, it's a different story, and I think that's part of the reason why he won't get canned. Like in the summer, who knows will be available, but I know a lot of people talk about Guy Boucher, who I think is far from the answer.
Listen, like what I think the Habs are trying to do here by extending Marc Bergevin for like eons of years, for extending Michel Therrien for eons of years, what they're trying to implement is what Detroit had, with like Babcock and Holland and those guys, where it's like you have this and what Chicago has now, right, with Bowman and Quenneville,
stability.
You know what I mean? Like it's like there's like that stability, and the other thing that I'll say about Therrien is that. Out in the media, and on the ice, like both on and off the ice, his team is supporting him through and through.
They are, yeah.
Now, one guy has thrown him under the bus. Every single night, they're playing as hard as they can till the last whistle, whether they're down 4-1 or up 4-1. They're playing. You know what I mean? And he's still got them rolling. If guys were giving up, if guys were playing the way they were supposed to, if guys were playing with heart, then Bergevin might have an easier decision to make.
Yeah,
but how could you do it? And honestly, the cohesiveness between the general manager, his players, his coach, the cohesiveness between the players, the coach, and the general manager, like it makes those decisions harder for Bergevin to make. Like, who can he bring in that's going to understand the team like Michel Therrien does? Who can he bring in where the players are going to trust Michel Therrien like they seem to?
Yeah,
you know, who is he going to bring in? That Bergevin has that relationship with the coach where he can bring him into a room and say, like, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's like working to its full potential. I'm just saying that Bergevin trusts Michel Therrien so much, and it seems like the players trust Michel Therrien a ton as well. So it's hard for Bergevin to cut ties with somebody like that because there's nobody he can bring in that's going to have that established, especially going in or trying to get out of a slump and heading into a playoff run.
For sure. It's certainly like one of the themes of Bergevin's presser was like this is the group that is going to get us out of the slump.
That's right.
And even Bergevin aside, sometimes shaking up things with the assistant coaches can make a difference too. Things like special teams. If you bring in a guy who can coach up guys on power play and have good systems there, that can make a big difference. Obviously, our power play in the last couple of years hasn't been very good,
right?
In general, but yeah, no, the consistency and like the having the kind of same group together, like you mentioned, teams like Detroit and Chicago.
Yeah,
there's value to that.
Yeah, and that's what I think they're trying to build. It's like they want some consistency. So how much blame do you think Bergevin should take? Yeah. Everyone's harping on Therrien. How much blame do you think Bergevin?
No, he should. He definitely should take a fair amount of blame for that as well.
Right,
but. I'm still on Team Bergevin for sure.
And the other thing too is Carey Price. And people always go down to like, oh well, the save percentage would go up and that would help. Like, you know what I mean? Which is true. Yeah, sure, their save percentage would go up. Like I'm looking at heading into since Condon's first 8 starts, heading into that game against the Leafs Saturday, his goals against average is .895.
That's wild.
That's terrible, man. And I'm not saying it's like all Condon's fault. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, Carey Price, his value is, yes, one, like, he's the best goaltender in the world, so statistically, he's going to help the team win games. But what I'm getting at is that he's more than just that. Like, the amount of times, like, he's a leader in the room.
Absolutely.
The guys play a little more confident in front of him. Not that the numbers I just ramed off about, like, you know, their high-quality scoring chances, their shots for percentage, that kind of stuff. But they do play a different game in front of Carey Price, and he's such a good puck mover.
You know what I mean? He's like a third defenseman out there.
games against the Leafs and the Bruins where they're just like those are the teams that get over the like they're the Therrien type system where they get over the red line, they fire the puck in. Like those are games where Carey Price makes a big difference for the Habs, and the defensemen are way more confident. There's a couple times, especially with like Beaulieu, where Condon and Beaulieu just aren't on the same page about where the puck's going to go. And Carey Price has that stability in those relationships with the defenseman. He works at it real hard, and you can tell when he's playing. You know. So there's a lot of different factors aside from better goaltending that Carey Price brings to the table.
No, I think that's it. That's for sure. It's not just the fact that he doesn't get scored on.
And now it looks like he might not be back for another month.
Yeah, it's wild. I think I don't know. I guess it depends on how well we do for the next month or so. But do you see? Because I think this is a possibility. If we're still just playing terribly close to the deadline and like before, like when he's starting to get closer, do you think he gets shut down for the season?
Let's put it this way. If they go on the 21-game stretch where they only got 9 points, if they go on a stretch like that, then yes, I can see them Shutsy and Carey Price. But if they go 500 from now till Carey Price could potentially come back around like just post-deadline, you know what I mean? If he's coming back like for, I don't know, March, then I'm thinking Carey Price gets back in the saddle. They make a playoff push. They might make a move for a winger or somebody that can help them score a couple goals.
Yeah.
And they go from there. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I think even just knowing how people are competitive, even if we're out of it, he probably doesn't get shut down, even if it's for the last 5 games of the year and we're out of it. He probably still plays.
You think so,
Just because he's a competitive guy. I'm kind of going back on my my bold statement now, but
no, I know he's a competitive guy. I just don't know if the team's willing to risk it. Like he still has to get cleared. You know what I mean? He still's got to get cleared by the team to be able to play. And I don't know if I guess what I'm saying is like he may factor into the decision, but he doesn't make the decision. You know?
Yep. No, for sure.
So I just don't know if the team's willing to risk him over that. You know?
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I guess that does it for episode 2.
This guy's a mess, eh?
We have to fire up a shout out though to Snoop Dogg. I don't know.
Yes, man.
Everyone needs to see Snoop Dogg's Plizzanet Earth.
Yeah, so it's a segment that he's doing on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's basically narrating Planet Earth, and it's the most bananas thing I think I've ever
It's
seen.
the funniest thing on the internet right now.
Yep.
And the internet has plenty of funny things.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Besides us, thank
God.
If we were all they had, they'd be done.
I think the internet would have quit
long ago.
And gone home. That's for sure.
Yep. So check out Plizzanet Earth. Don't forget to subscribe on to our YouTube channel, and you can also now subscribe to Habs Banter on iTunes.
Yes, sir.
In which we are going to only upload the audio files, as a good friend of ours, Tim, pointed out that people don't like downloading videos on iTunes for whatever reason because they don't like to spend their data on us.
Yeah.
But
we're not worth people's data.
I guess
says
T-Rock. Is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.